recording, right? So this is talk about how to create customizable signs in Framework. So instead of using the default one, we're gonna just create something in Rhino, right? So I will start things from fresh, nothing here. Start with a feed, okay? With brand new Rhino file, nothing. So first I will define something looks like this, right? So basically it's a box, maybe two boxes, one is the pool, one is the sun, right? So here I will go ahead, create a box. It's good we do this in the front view. So this is a box, and I do another box. Oops. Repeat tabs. Good. All right. So you have this done. Doesn't look like a stop sign yet. Let's just move this one a little bit. Simple, right? If I render this guy now, it's basically just a white box, right? No texture. So the only thing we need to do is apply something to the front texture. What we did here is in Photoshop, we have the speed 60 miles, right? So that's the file speed.jpg, the square shape, and here we want to apply to the front. So explode, so have the front, you can select. Then I'm going to create a new material. So a bunch of ways you can do it. This is in Rhino, so you can go to the this material editor. You can open that. Then you can create a new custom shader or material, and this one you can create a texture attached to the color. That's with speed. That's it. For others, I can just drag it to all 0. That's good. Then you can drag it to the front. Right click, assign to objects. That's it. So now if I do render, you should see a right color speed limits right here. Right. You see this part I did not apply the UV mapping. It's automatically show up in the right way. Yes and no, right?
I think it's because it wasn't in.
Yeah. If you start with a box, the box is called multi-surface, right? Or polysurface model. The polysurface model automatically has a UV mapping. You don't have to apply. So to approve that, if you have, for example, a box like this, right? If you explode and if you apply this to the objects, guess what? This whole proportion is being recognized by default as your UV mapping. See that one? It's stretched to match it. So you don't have to do it.
Cool.
However, if you have, let's see, a different shape, it's not a box. Right. Yeah. However, if you want to change the proportion, then you have to do the UV mapping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is not very difficult. I mean, I will show anyway. It's really quick. So if you want to put 2 stop sign for this vertical, right? One on the top, one to the bottom, which you can do texture mapping. You want to do planar mapping, right? You can do planar mapping. Make sure you select target objects. So that's the surface, right? It's the front surface, and make sure enter finish. First corner, do you see that? Has to start with the bottom left, right? Ooh, actually, I should do that. Sorry, in the front, because this will default as X, Y. So do this again. I want to make sure I'm selecting the front. Okay, so do it again. Right, planar, first corner, second corner, enter, enter. So now if I render, you could imagine it should have 2 stop sign show up. Here we go.
Cool.
Right? 2 UVs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyhow, we are not really doing that. Get rid of it. So back to here. This. So what we need is transfer this guy in to InfraWorks. So let me move this one slightly to 0, 0. So this anchor point is to 0, 0. Then I use export selected. I do IFWsign. I give this name speed limit 7. Okay. Drag to the end. Okay. So it's basically convert this into a mesh. And then here I can go ahead, you know, I can create a new category. Call this TM traffic. In the TM traffic, I can add this new one, which is speed limit 7. Here we go. Got this. Then click OK. Let me see anything else I need to do. Oh, yeah. Basically, everything can be kept as default. However, if you wanna, you know, sometimes if the model is messed up with origin, you can choose the center or lower left. So that will become your origin. But I have already did very carefully. My origin is already here, 0, 0. So I can choose local origin. Yeah, so it will show up, then I can drag it to swap. Wow, that is huge. Yeah. I probably missed one step, right? This is something I think we should all do. So before you export to InfraWorks, make sure you measure your distance. 22 feet. See? That's the reason, right? So basically you wanna scale this. So I will probably do, let's see, this is 22, 10. I want to probably do a 7 feet high, right? So this will be the right scale to transfer. You might want to transfer this one more time to this.
Is it going to measure it in feet or is it going to measure in meters?
It should be feet. I think this, the unit here is the feet, right?
Yeah.
So let's just make sure we have the distance. So here to here. Oh, that's 12 feet. Sorry, I think I should further scale down this to half. Right, so that's pretty close. Distance. Yeah, 7 feet.
Cool.
So here, when I export, it should be good. Let's see, speed limits 8. So here, let me just create a new one. Right, so here, click OK. So this is the new one, a drag and swap. Yeah, that looks like the 7 feet. That's it. Or maybe it's still pretty high.
Is that like 7 meters maybe? If you convert feet to
Let me
meters?
drag a people here. I know people is, I'm swap people with a pool. Yep, this definitely looks like a 7 meter. That's strange, huh?
Yeah.
7 meter.
Maybe if you do 2 feet, it will make it 2 meters.
Is this one unit? How you measure the unit here?
If you just type units.
Oh, unit, unit.
Unit or units, you just select it, it should tell you.
It is feet. Okay, so maybe we can treat the things like meters, cause seems like InfraWorks is using meters.
Just automatically converts.
Yeah, so probably here we should assume this should be 2 meters, right? So I will scale this. Yeah. So this is about 3, 2. So here let's measure the distance. So that's about 3 meters high. Yeah, that must be the case. Another way you can do that is when you let me save this Rhino. When you start with a new Rhino file, you maybe just start automatically with the meter as your default units. Right, so this is all meters. Then here, if I import these IFWsign, right, the one I just created. Yeah. Right, which is all here. And you want to measure distance one more time. So that's about 2 meters.
Cool.
So this, then I export. I will do none. I believe I could do none of them. Okay. So here, if I back to my zone, and I will add a number 9 here. Right. Click OK. And drag number 1 here. Yep. Yeah, that looks like a 2 meters high.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just treat this as meter. That should be fine.
Cool.
Okay, I think that's it
All
about
right,
a
great.
long tutorial on how to customize your speed limits. Yeah, I would rather just start with Scratch.
Yeah.
You know,
Seems to be
it's
easy.
simple.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about all the weird UV mapping. Just start with a multi poly surface. It's
Yeah.
already carry the UV.
Okay. Cool.
Hello, this is a tutorial. I want to talk a little bit more about the traffic sign. Follow the previous tutorial, which is right here. If you watch this one first, you will get a brief idea. I covered how to use 3ds Max as a way to clean up the file. And also there's a link to the Turbo Squid, which is a place you can download a lot of free 3D model. And also there's a link to the typical way suggested by the Autodesk. You can follow that tutorial. This is how to use existing 3D models from the library, from the 3D style, export into any 3D program. Could be Max, could be Maya. Then you can swap the texture to a new one. Then you can re-import into InfraWorks. Right? So that is about this tutorial. And also I provided a zip file. There you can see the examples like in 3ds Max, FBX, and textures. That's a zip file. So within that zip file, you can see the style JSON files which you can load into your InfraWorks directly. So this file will directly allow you to have exactly the same style palette as I have. So here in the 3D, you can actually see the traffic and TM sign. So this is the bunch of signs I created using my previous 3ds Max workflow. So I would highly recommend you look at this one, watch this one first. And today I want to talk a little bit more about why I use Max or Maya instead of Rhino to clean up the texture, swap the texture. The reason is a lot of geometries, if you export from InfraWorks, it carries the UV mapping, but Rhino is not really the ideal program to play with UV mapping. Program like 3ds Max or Maya is much easier. You can edit, you can clean up the model. But anyway, I will just do a quick demo so you understand the reason why I use Maya or Max to do it. Because the last tutorial I kind of covered this in 3ds Max, I think it probably makes sense I do this with Maya this time. I'll also cover a little bit about Rhino, why I do not use Rhino to do this. All right, to keep things start, I will first demonstrate quickly, using the suggestions from Autodesk. I will create a bunch of existing billboard, and I will then export, and then I can export into Rhino. You will see the problem, and I will export into Maya or Max. You will see it will look much better. All right, so let's do that. So first, I will just quickly create a bunch of signs. So for example, I wanna maybe just using this sign to swap. So I know the stop sign is from the default library. So I'm going to just put a do not enter sign right here. What is this one? This is the stop sign. I will put it here. So I have two signs, one the stop, one the do not enter. That's good enough. Then I'm going to, here's the zone 30. Let's do one more. So I have three signs. Yeah, you can easily swap the signs like this way. All right, so I have three signs. In order to export, I will just do export 3D model. I will define polygon. Just make sure polygon cover these three signs. Double click. I will do the multiple file because I don't really need the ground, right? The only thing I need is not the building, not the trees. The only thing I need is actually the city furniture, which is the sign, right? So see, the file will be saved into desktop cityfurniture.fbx. Also, I choose not merge objects because I do want to edit these objects individually. So that's a setting. All right. Then I'm going to export. One thing I want to highlight is InfraWorks actually use meter as its internal units. So let's export first. So these internal units, you can actually see it from the application options, and here is the units, right? So although for the display it does choose feet and inch, but for the internally is actually always be meter. So just keep in mind this is a kind of like a default setting. You cannot really change that internally, but display is meter. For the display is feet now, but internal calculation is still meter. So here, if I do the point-to-point distance, you can see here is display as a feet, right? But in the reality, we'll export this model, always treat this as meters. All right. So I got FBX. Then I will explain a little bit why I think Rhino might not be the ideal program to deal with this. So here's a brand new Rhino file. I will go ahead and create a new Rhino. Actually, I want to use meter as my internal unit, so it's a template for meters. All right, and then I'm going to import this FBX file. Name is furniture, city furniture FBX, and yeah, this will be just default. Here we go, we have this. And now if I zoom in, you can see here the three billboard, right? Because I didn't select the ground or tree or building, so this is a pretty clean model come in. You can also tell the geometry is sort of being optimized, right? So here, if I switch to shaded, you can actually see the texture show up. Well, the first question is, in your Rhino probably will switch to shaded. You don't really see texture. The reason I can see texture is in the properties. This is actually pretty tricky in Rhino. By default, Rhino will never render texture at the beginning to save the memory. But if you go to the Rhino options, there's a group called display. It's under view display, under shaded, and here I override whatever default settings to rendering material. This will take some extra memory from Rhino to display. I think the default is just custom or object color, but here I force it to render the material. Another option I would recommend is turn on the backface call. This is a terminology come from the 3D graphic. Backface means if a normal direction is negative, it will be invisible. If the normal direction is positive, it will be visible. So in any 3D model, if you turn on this, you can somehow predict in the game engine how if the face is visible or invisible, because it's only rendered positive normal. Right. So turn on this will help you to visualize. All right. So immediately you see something is not right. You see, the texture is all messed up, right? That's the reason I think Rhino probably not that direct way you can edit. I mean, yes, you can reassign the UV. You know, if you turn on the material, you can see this guy has the material in its properties. You can see that's the current material. It does carry the texture right here, right? If you click, you can see the texture looks right. What is messed up is the UV. The UV is not being carried. So here in Rhino, the UV is handled under the texture mapping, and you know, you have the default surface, box, you know, cylindrical, spherical mapping, and this one, because it's already being done in InfraWorks, this one is actually using the specialized UV editor, which if you want to take a quick look, we can actually visualize it. You can see this is how the geometry is unwrapped and overlaid on top of the picture, but as you can see, the UV mapping is not correct. It's basically should not be that, right? And you could definitely do adjustment, but again, this is not really visually easy for you to see the relationship between these two. So I would rather not to do this in Rhino, unless you know you don't have any other program. You probably have to learn how to do this in Rhino. But in my suggestion, this might not be your best choice to do that. Okay. So so we understand this weird look of the texture. So let me cancel that. Okay. So here you can see the geometry is not being rendered in a correct way. Okay. So let's go ahead, open this file in Max, so you can get a sense why I did Max in the previous tutorial. So here the same thing. The Max, just keep in mind, the unit by default is centimeter. The same thing for Maya. So here it's display as meter, but in the system it's actually centimeter. So just keep that in mind. I think for both Max Maya is the same. So here if you import that FBX file, so which is the city furniture, right? And I will just choose everything as a default. So you should see these three show up. Where are they? Oh, they are kind of floating in the air because you know the elevation. So here you can actually see the texture being rendered in the right way. You know, do not enter. This one, if you move slightly, it's actually two surfaces. One is the back, one is the front. Because they are so close to each other, you won't be able to. Sometimes only render one. So there, I mean, there's another one is actually on the back. So if I go to edit mesh, you should be able to see if I select one of the face. Let's do this. Right. Holding shift, you can select both right? So you can see the face is actually correct. It's just a display because they are so close to each other. It only rendered one. Right. Okay. So that's edit mesh. I believe I can convert this into edit poly. This is a little bit more friendly, in my opinion. Editable poly. Editable poly is kind of the upgrades of edit mesh. Sometimes I think the behavior is better, but anyhow, you got an idea. The display looks right in 3ds Max. So here you can actually see each individual objects. You might be wondering, what are these gizmos? This is actually the hierarchy carried from FBX. You don't really have to worry. From the geometry, you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 geometries. Okay. All right. So this is how this works in Max. So here, let me see more. Yep. Anyhow, I'm going to actually use Maya to do this because it's a lot of easier. You can edit this, the UV. You can see the UV in Maya. I mean, in Max you can see that as well, but you have to apply a modifier. The name is unwrap UVW. So if you do that, then you can click show open UV editor, and then you should be able to see how the UV is overlaid on top. In general, I think this is the same workflow as Maya. I prefer to actually use Maya to do it. It's a lot faster. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I promised you in the video in the editing mode, so I disable that. Here we go. So here, if you go ahead, open this again. Okay, so you should see, here the UV, showed up. All right. But anyway, let's go ahead to do this in Maya. So I will actually swap to Maya. I will repeat exactly the same process, so you can compare all three. Here I'm going to import. I will do exactly the same, right? The city furniture. I mean, Maya is my favorite program. So here you see a group. If you're holding Shift and click this Add, you basically open up all hierarchies. This might look pretty confusing. Let me explain a little bit. So basically, this object is the billboard, the sun. If you use F, you can actually feed into your view. And if you use number 5, I think is number 5, yeah. Or number 4, 5, 6, yeah, number 6, which you can easily turn on the texture display. Okay, so you can see it has all the default hierarchies. This is actually the hierarchy carried from IFWsign. It doesn't really matter actually. So for example, here this is the do not enter sign, right? So you can see here's a mesh. It's coming as a single mesh, but this guy for some reason is carried 2 mesh in, and also you have the similar issues. It's only displayed the back of it. However, this is a nice thing in Maya. If you select one face and double click, actually I have to holding Shift to select. You can select this face, then you can move the face a little bit. So basically you see 2 faces. They are really close to each other. Okay, this is not really a problem in IFWsign because, as I mentioned, the back face calling, right? So if you look at from the front, you only see the stop. If you look at from the back, you only see this gray color. So even they are precisely overlapped, right? It looks like that it's actually pretty okay in the game engine. If you do want to simulate exactly the same kind of effects in game engine, this is a quick way. In Maya, you can turn on the backface calling, right? Because we're going to use this a lot. You can actually create a shortcut for this. So right now I'm inside my ODOT menu. So if I holding Alt Control and click, right? Actually, it's Control Shift click. You can have this backface calling turned on. So here, if I click, turned off, turned on, you can see a little bit change. See here. So right now is both faces visible, but if I click backface calling, you see the green one disappeared. Did you see that? Yeah. The same thing here. If I, keep, let's make this a little closer. Or maybe let's just exaggerate so you can know exactly what I mean. So this is the front face of the stop sign, right? So if I move this a little bit further away, right? So you can see both by default because backface calling is off. However, if you select these objects and then click backface calling, see what happened? On the back, you only see the gray. From front, you only see the stop, right? If I turn it off, you see actually both. So this is the tricky thing in any 3D graphics, the normal direction control which face will be visible. So you understand now it's exactly the same situation here, right? So if I turn on the backface calling, boom, it works, right? Because this one has positive and this one has negative. So if you use F, you can see both at the same time. Alright, so this is just some display issue. Also, I want to quickly explain the UV mapping issue. The UV mapping, right? So here, if you go to UV editor, you can actually turn on the UV editor, and you can see, hey, let me just minimize this. So you can see this 30. I think that's the speed limit. 30 zone is actually carried in as a UV, and you can see here is that UV coordination in relation to the original image. So here the UV, I can actually pick up this UV. I believe this is the front. So see what happened if I move it. I think this is the default 30, but if I move here, I have different sun. I move here, different sun. I move here, different sun. I move here, different sun. Right. So this is really useful for a lot of situations. Is you don't want to create individual textures. It takes memory. So you basically just compile all the pieces into a single JPEG, and then you can just easily swap the material back and forth. So here, let me just see if I want to, just relocate this here. Maybe use R to scale up. So WER is still the move, rotate. Right. So I have this kind of H zone. I don't know, it's hospital, probably. So I have this new one, and then I can easily transfer this back into infra work. Then you should be able to see it. So let's do that really quick. You have this. I also need to click the pool. So this is our two objects. So one is the pool, one is the board. So I select both, and then I'm going to export this selection into InfraWorks, right? So by default, this is FBX. Let me see all the options. Okay. Well, it seems like all pretty good to me. Wait a second. Let me see. Yeah, do export selection. Let's do that. Export selection. Yeah, actually I want to do this because here the option is better organized. The only thing I need to make sure is in FBX, right? Export, this is FBX. You do have this embedded media checked. Otherwise, the texture will not be carried. Okay. Another thing I like to just make sure is Maya is Y up right now, which I think should be fun. But later we can test in InfraWork. In some reason, if it's flipped, you probably want to switch to Z. But let's using Y for now. Everything else should be just the default. Also, I want to check the unit really quick. So where is the unit? I believe it's in the geometry. No. Maybe it's the pre-reference options, include options. Yeah, because Maya is centimeter, right? So if you're just using centimeter, transfer the geometry in, the model might be 100 times bigger than it should be. So here is the unit. Yes, I think by default is automatic. So you can see this gray color is centimeter, right? I would change this to meter because I know InfraWorks is meter, so you don't have to worry about the scale later. Alright, so two things you want to make sure. Embed media unit is meter. Okay, so let's give this a name. I think this is IFWsign, right? This is whatever name meaningful for you. Export. So that's it. Then here in InfraWork, I will go ahead, go to my Sign. I'm going to add this new FBX into this library. So I think the name is IFWsign. Alright, boom, it showed up. It looks pretty good to me. I can maybe define the origin as the lower left. This is actually a little bit safer because it's just treating the bounding box and the corner in the bounding box as your anchor point. The scale I will keep as 1 because we believe 1 meter we already set up that correct. So click OK. You should see this one pop up. I will give this name IFWsign. Right, and then I will drag it to the thing to test, see if that works. Right. Oh, let's cancel that. So where is the IFWsign? So drag and drop. Yeah, the scale is perfect. So you got IFWsign. All right, so that's basically the whole process. For the beginners, this might look pretty intimidating, but I want to show you. If you are not familiar with Maya, if you are not familiar with Max, not familiar with Rhino, you can still do this without actually opening a 3D program. Okay, that sounds pretty easy, right? So I will show you this kind of last trick. If you fully understand, this could help you. So if you already have, let's see, a 3D model, right? For example, this guy. Instead of doing anything complicated, right? You can just simply swap this image in Photoshop with a new image. You don't really need to open the 3D program to do editing. That could be a really simple way. So here I will show you quickly how to do it. So let's assume you have zero knowledge on any 3D program, but for some reason you wanna create a new material. Maybe this time I will use a do not enter as example. Right? I want to swap this image to something else. Okay. The only program I know is Photoshop. Okay. So I will go ahead export the same process as the 3D model. This time make sure you only select a single object, this do not enter sun. Make sure in the multiple files, it will disable everything except the city furniture, right? So as you can imagine, the only objects is transferred out is this do not enter sign. And also I want to do is do not merge objects, right? So I will give this name, can I actually change the file name? Yes, I will just give the name as city furniture. I will just give the name as do not enter sign. I will say do not enter sign, DNE sign, and then click export. Okay, we're done. So here, as a result, you should see this guy show up, right? DNE sign FBX. This FBX file, if you double click, whatever 3D model, well, I think this is the default. You see the UV mapping is messed up too because the Windows 3D library do not have a way to understand the logic. But that's not the case. I think we want to do is actually see the texture associated with this FBX file, right? The best way to see that is by open this up. Let's see if I can just simply open this in Rhino. I will choose import and I will use do not enter sign. Alright, I didn't do anything except I import it, and immediately you see something happened. Basically your computer will kind of unlock the FBM, which is the material associated with the FBX file. See, in Rhino you don't have to do anything. You can actually close Rhino now. You don't really need Rhino. So only thing I need to do is just open this FBX in Maya or in Max or in Rhino. As soon as you open it, your computer will automatically decode. So this is the FBM associated with it. And in this FBM file, you will see that JPEG. This is basically the material associated with it. So here, if I do some, Photoshop work, and I receive it, it should still kind of respect the relationship between the original FBX with the texture associated with it. The UV mapping is actually untouched. It's still embedded in the FBX file, right? So that's just for Photoshop users. If you know no knowledge on other programs. So here I will just paint something green here so we know this is something new. I will save it. Or you can do some other nodes, other signs. So I will just do a quick green thing and close it. Right. So see, this guy has a new texture, right? The green is saved over the old name. So here, the FBX file called OneSign, I'm going to bring it back to InfraWorks. Right. So here, I will do the same thing, add, and I will target to that FBX OneSign. Okay. Here we go. Oh, for some reason, yeah, maybe I'm wrong. This one still remember the old name. The old texture. Interesting. Yeah, I'm wrong. I think we have to do something. Either in SketchUp or Max, maybe relink to that image. Yeah, let's just do it in Maya or in Max. Interesting, I didn't realize that. So let's do new all. And then I will bring the import the FBX. I saw this one gonna FBX. Okay. Right, so you see it's right here. You mean? It's still the old one. Interesting. But you can refresh the link to the texture. I will repeat this in Maya so you have both. So here, pick a place. I will using this color picker So I can pick this material. Okay, I will pick this material using the color material picker, and you can see this M is map, and here you can see the map, right? So if I click the map, so this should link to that file. Well, why is not changed? Desktop onesign.fbm. I thought we did the change. That's really strange. Let's go there. So OneSign, right? Huh. Why is not being saved? Interesting. Did I save this in the wrong place? That is really strange. Yep. So let's go ahead, reopen the file. So that is OneDrive. Do not enter sign, right? So this is the FBX, but where is the folder? Right, so this is the folder. Yeah, in Photoshop it does change. That is really interesting. See here, I can see it was changed, but for some reason it is going back to its original. This one, save it. Right, so here in Max, as soon as I save it, it changed here. That's interesting. Okay, so once I save it, I guess I probably have to export this as a new FBX. So let's try that. So here I will export as a new FBX. So let's give this name do not enter sign number 4. Okay, so this is basically just some Photoshop work. The same kind of setting, you have to make sure the embed media is checked. I think the unit should be meter as well. So here in Max, see advanced options, units. Oh, automatic is actually meter. That's good. So just want to make sure it is correct. So here I'm going to add. Actually, I add to a wrong place. Let's delete this. Actually, using add here. So do not enter 4. Right. So you have this green color sign show up. Yep. So that's the whole process. You can just adding this this new photoshopped image in. Let me do a quick test. What if I change the back to the do not enter sign number 3. So this is the one I just photoshopped, right? Oh, it's actually working as well. Probably I just didn't loading the right file in the first place. Interesting. So here's the do not enter sign 3. So I have a couple of versions. Let's do the do not enter 2 just to see. Oh yeah, it works. Actually, I think what I did wrong last time is I point to the wrong file. Yeah. So in this case, you don't really have to use 3ds Max, right? Just use Photoshop, change something, save the file within the folder. This FBM folder. Right, I got a bunch of versions, so save into this new folder, which will override whatever the old material. Then you just export this FBX file back to the infra work. So that should work. See here, I have this 2, 3, 4. This is 3 new files. I just exported. All right. So this is the easy way for people who do not use any 3D model. Just you can do it in Photoshop. Cool. I think that's pretty much about this tutorial. I will through a bunch of new files with a Max version or Maya version online. I will put it into a place. If you guys wanna let me save this one as Sun 2. Yeah. So I have a bunch of Maya file and a Max file. I will put it there. For example, this one has 140 suns. You can definitely play with it. So basically, this is from internet I purchased, and you can see the texture. This actually has a transparency you have to break because you don't need transparency. Yeah, so this is, the art looks good actually. Don't worry about this black look. It's just for, you know, this normal thing which are really close to each other. So if you break transparency, you can see the color. You can see the original image, which is exactly the same kind of logic, right? You have a UV, and the UV is attached to this individual location, and here you can see the, you know, the UV mapping. Right, if you select you know, this diagonal shape, you can see this is the shape located here. If you do another one, is located here. So that's the same kind of logic. I will give you this FBX file and Maya file. If you want to using this one to help you, you can definitely start from here. That's basically in Maya and FBX. It should be pretty easy to use. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, I just realized this model probably is not free. I purchased through the Turbo Squid, so it's better not to share this online. There will be some issues for copyright. But anyway, I will export all the signs I created in this tutorial into a new JSON file, so you guys could actually use it. So here I will go to my tongue sign. I'm going to save, export as a JSON file. I will put the file directly into the source, sun source. So this file I will give it to you, and this file named the 3D model traffic barriers tongue sign. So I think this JSON file you can easily save it and load into your infra work. So you can just click import, target to that JSON file. Then you should have exactly the same content under a folder named the tongue sign. You should see all the panels, all the billboard created here. All right, I think that's pretty much about the tutorial. I hope this tutorial is helpful for you to understand, you know, the general workflow, and of course it will take a lot of practice for you to truly understand the relationship between the UV and the billboard sign. Again, I prefer you use Maya or Max to do this job. It just makes things a lot easier than Rhino, and you can easily, you know, navigate through interface, pick the UV, use W to move. You can see it immediately give you that control. You can even, you know, scale up using R. I mean, this is not really make sense, but if you want to have multiple signs in one panel, you can do that. And the only thing you need to do later is just export this as an FBX file. So this is easily done in Maya or Max than the Rhino program. All right. So I hope this tutorial, this is a really long tutorial, will be helpful for you to understand the relationship between the UV and the 3D model mapping. All right, that's it.